I'm going to go ahead and start the recording now because usually I say I'm going to record this and then I start talking and I don't remember to hit the record button. So today I'm going to get everything. And I'm going to leave you for a second so you can just stare at the wall. So please hold.
That's fine. I got to go flip some chicken anyway.
There you go.
Hey, Renee, will you check on the chicken? I'm not done yet, but just make sure it's not very hot. Another 5 or 6 minutes. And next one.
Okay. Nikki, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I changed my microphone, so. How are you doing?
I'm hot. I decided to run in the hottest part of the day. It was a really good idea.
Yeah. How are you not dousing yourself with like ice water at this moment?
I did that before I got up here. So.
Okay, good. It's so hot.
I might as well get used to it, right?
That's true. You are doing one of the hottest races on the planet. Other than that, how's your week been? Besides hot.
It was all right. I had a stomach bug, so that wasn't very fun.
Yeah, that didn't sound fun.
No, but I did good with my ride yesterday, so I guess it wasn't too
good. Oh, good. That's awesome.
I hope you've had a good week.
Yeah, it's been good. I've been packing for my crazy trip. So,
where are you headed now?
So I'm going to Iceland tomorrow. I am super excited. I am helping a friend of mine. Did you meet Sammy? I don't know if you've met Sammy. So my friend Sammy Winter yesterday did Swedman, which is an extreme Ironman in Sweden, obviously. And she did it last year. Yeah, last year, and she DNF'd. And so it might have been 2 years ago. So she had to go back and do it again so that she would not have that DNF on her list. She did not like that. So she's going from there to Iceland to do another extreme Ironman on July the 27th. And you have to have a Sherpa with you in some of these extreme races. You have to have somebody with you on the bike kind of sagging you the whole way, so you get your own personal sag, which is pretty awesome. And then for Alaska Man and Swedman, you have to have a Sherpa the whole way to scare away the animals that are on the trail. Fortunately, in Iceland, there are no animals on the trail, so you don't necessarily have to have a Sherpa, but she said she needed a Sherpa, so she is treating me to a marathon in Iceland, which I don't know right now if this is sounding like a great idea. I don't know if treating me to a marathon in Iceland is great, but whatever.
It'll be an experience for your lifetime.
It will. Hi, Jerry. Hi, Robin. Let's see who else is on here. Hi, I see Beth and Frody. And Stephanie I see her cabinet. And I see Robin is walking around. She's probably packing already for Lake Placid, so that's all right. All right, so it's 6, so we'll kind of get started. And if people join us along the way, that is great. I am going to just cover some basic stuff to get started, and then some logistics and business stuff to get it out of the way, and then talk about nutrition. Christina couldn't join us again, so I have stolen her information and I've made it my own. And because I've had a couple consultations with her, I'm kind of feeling like I know it anyway, and y'all probably know this too, but it's a good refresher. So we'll just kind of go through her slides that I stole and talk about race and training nutrition. Hopefully I will have you out of here by 6:30, but we'll also open up to questions. So if anybody has any questions, we can answer those. So first announcement is I'm going to Iceland. So this coming week, I will be available by email. We have plenty of time to not be at the spas and riding horses and going to see the puffins and all that kind of fun stuff that I get to do. Since we're both coaches, we both have set aside some time to be coaches. So if y'all need us, please email me and I will get in touch by email. Or Training Peaks. So I am going to be checking Training Peaks diligently to make sure, even though I'm away, that y'all don't play. So yeah, so just know that I'm kind of I'm 4 hours ahead, so that may also make a difference in our communication. The other thing I want to announce, there's 2 events that are coming up. One is September 1st. It's called the Hot Hundo. It is here in Wilmington/Burgal. It is much like the Tour de Blueberry, except it's going to be hotter. It is called the Hot Hundo because it is a 100-mile ride, especially for people who are doing Augusta. No, I'm just kidding. It is normally hot. So there are multiple loops like the Blueberry ride, so you can make it either a metric 100 or you can make it a century ride. So put that on your calendars. I've probably already put it on your training calendar, so if it's an option if you want to do that. And then the other exciting news is that on September the 13th through the 16th, we are having Tri-Camp here in Wilmington. We hope to incorporate a lot of the Ironman North Carolina course, and we hope to incorporate the peer-to-peer swim. Glenn? Yeah.
We do.
And we hope to have about 20 people from all over the place come to join us. Our main exciting new feature this year is that Angela Nath, the pro triathlete from Canada, has signed on to come. So I am super excited about that. She's amazing. If you're not already following her on Instagram or any of your social media, she's fun to follow. She has dealt with a lot of adversity. She has Lyme disease, chronic Lyme disease, and which is near and dear to my heart because my sister suffers from Lyme. And she also has a recent injury that caused a major surgery, and then she had to have another major surgery. So right now she has basically a halo for her arm, and yet she still is planning to compete this fall. So she is coming to talk to us about overcoming adversity. She's going to share her story. She's probably going to be at our open water swim clinic to give tips on that. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. So that's September the 13th through the 15th, I guess. Yeah, the 15th is Sunday. So yeah, that's that. All right, so that's kind of all my news that I have. And then I'm going to switch over and we'll talk about a little bit about nutrition. And I'm going to talk about mainly training, like training and what to use in your races and that kind of thing. There's a part in here that talks about how to periodize your nutrition, and we're going to talk about that and kind of explain it, or I'll kind of explain it in brief, but then we'll kind of go into what you should be eating and drinking and downing for all of your races and how to practice for that. So I'm going to try to share my screen so that y'all can see the pretty PowerPoint that I have stolen. I think you should be able to still hear my voice, but let's see, slideshow. If not, give me the thumbs down and I will adjust. All right, so we're gonna kind of breeze through this and then we'll have plenty of time for questions and answers. this is Christina's slide show that I have stolen from her symposium that she did for us back in February or April at TriCamp here. This is what she's put together and taught me to teach you. She, again, she lived in Texas and moved to the East Coast, and the East Coast has ruined her. She has really bad allergies to the East Coast, and so she is suffering from loss of voice a lot. So she's trying to get that figured out. All right, so her disclaimer and my disclaimer is that all of this is very individualized. You may find that you may respond to some things and other people are like, yes, this works for me. And you're like, no, this does not work. Like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, Uncrustables may work for somebody else, but they may not work for you. You may be celiac and gluten-free, or you may be that they just don't taste good after an hour or so on the bike. What works for one is not always what works for everyone else. And as always, I'm not a doctor, nor do I play one on TV. Christina also is not here for medical advice, but we can help you find somebody to treat things that are specific to you. So there's that. Her number one piece of advice to improve your athletic performance is essentially eat real food. Eat a nutrient-rich diet, which you know from the food pyramid from when we were growing up, that you eat mostly plants. You can throw beans and legumes in there, nuts and seeds, and you put lean protein, quality carbs, and healthy fat in there. And you've got the recipe for high athletic performance as well as like everyday performance. So just do what your mom told you. Except for don't do what my mom said, which was to drink sweet tea all the time. That is not effective. I'm going to kind of blow through all of these and get to the sports nutrition part of this. Everyday foods are going to support what you do in your sport. So that's why she has that eat whole real foods. It is very hard to eat whole real foods when you are working out, when you're racing and training. But you can get the 3 macros as your fuel sources. So she says, go for your carbs, go for your fat, and go for your protein. Carbs are a bad word and have been a bad word in many circles for a long time, but really you have to have them. Your brain does not tell your muscles what to do without carbs. So it is your main fuel for short and long exercise and from moderate to high intensity exercise. You can actually consume them and they will do what your body needs them to do so that you can keep biking or running or swimming. You do need some fat as fuel for especially the longer distances and slower exercise. And there's a 50-50 carb and fat ratio that she goes by. And that is in slow and she almost steers that ratio towards ultra distances, which is Ironman, and ultra running races. And then protein is a smaller fuel source. It lasts for 4 to 6 hours, and you don't need it as much as you do the other 2. So those are the basics. We do need all 3 systems for training. There's never 100%, so you never go 100% carbs. You always want to use a mixture. You eat to fuel what your training is at the time, and we're getting ready to get into that, and that equals the nutrition periodization. So when you are out of season, which would be considered, for many of you, we've already done that, but it's coming up. After your next big race, this might be your out of season time. So that is when you need fewer carbs, you need additional protein. The ratio she recommends is 40, 30, and 30. or 2 to 3 grams per kilograms of carbs, to kind of guide you in that direction. She also suggested fasted workouts 2 or 3 times a week in this out of season phase. So when you're in the wintertime, you may not necessarily need, unless you're training for a January race, you may not need to eat breakfast before you go swim. You may not even need to eat breakfast before you go run or bike. You may be able to do a short 1-hour ride without eating anything. You may not even need anything in your bottle unless you get, and then I would highly suggest that you get some food in your body. And the best way to have a fasted workout on those easy efforts is to do it in the morning. As you move into base training, which many of you have already passed, you are still thinking about body composition, not so much weight loss, but body composition. You want slightly more carbs because your workouts are getting longer or they're getting more intense as you get closer to race time. The suggested ratio, and these are kind of these two things, the at a season ratio and the base training ratio, these are things that y'all might want to remember, that 45, 25, 30 for base training, and then the 40, 30, 30. Those are things that you might want to remember and write down. You can continue 2 to 3 fasted workouts a week, but remember to do them only for easy workouts. So that is kind of the time of season where you're starting to like really think about sports nutrition along with daily nutrition. And then you get to the build phase, which a lot of you are in build phase, and you're already thinking about, okay, but I want to drop a little bit of weight so that I can get up the next mountain, or I want to drop a little weight so that I don't have to run with what feels like ankle weights around my ankles, that kind of thing. But in order to remain your best, there is almost no calorie restriction, especially on days when you have high quality workouts. You're going to need additional carbs to fuel your workouts. She suggests 50 to 55% carbs. And that is each day. So that's the ratio that bumps up. And then for the fat and protein, you can kind of mix it into what you prefer. It's really hard to, on those other ratios that she has, and I'm not going to look back at those, but to fit in, you know, an equal amount or to kind of adjust for those protein, it makes it a lot. So just kind of play around with it. You can think of that 5 to 6 grams of carbs per kilogram as a guide also. There are great calculators that can help you with this, and I can send y'all those. FitnessPal has that as a premium choice where you can, you know, figure out your macros. You can also, I think there's another couple of sites that'll automatically do it for you. And then you can write them down and keep them in as a log kind of thing. And then during the build phase, it is very important to not only practice your nutrition and hydration on the bike and the run as you do those, but you almost have to practice what you're doing the days before and even the week before. Now, this can get really boring because you might end up for, you know, 3 days before your longest weekend or before your long weekends, you're like, okay, well, I've eaten pizza on Wednesday. I've eaten this chicken and quinoa and spinach on Thursday, and every one of these days is lined up and every week it's the same. But it's a challenge to find something that's different. I think I told y'all that in Boulder, I was not able to eat my normal routine of stuff. So I'd already practiced what to eat in the days leading up to. So I had multiple options to choose from. And I write them down so that I know what the macros look like. And I write them down so that I know kind of what combos go together. So that is an option for you to do. You do not have to be as obsessive compulsive as I am about that kind of thing. But if you have some guidelines to go by and you're in a place where you don't quite know what you're going to have, or you don't have the control over what you're going to eat, then you have some options. And then you reach the peak and taper phase. You're going to maximize your glycogen stores with carbohydrates. You can see that you bump up in the build phase. It's 5 to 6 grams of carbs per kilogram. You can see that it bumps up here to 6 to 10. That's a lot of carbs. You're probably going to gain weight, and it is okay, because if you do, you're going to be so fueled and so ready for race day that you're going to just blow it up. So I don't mean blow it up in a bad way. You're going to blow it up in a good way. In the taper and peak phase, it's a good idea, which is about 3 to 4 weeks. I usually call it a lead-in for most of you on your training peaks, but you can look for, the 2 weeks leading into your race, you can start to practice. Do one more final test on the bike and the run, one more final test in your normal everyday nutrition to make this, just kind of tweak it for you. And in that regard, I want to say, in the tweaking, one of the things that Christina says in most of her presentations and most of her one-on-one consultations is that tweaking your nutrition is like tweaking your bike fit. It is dynamic and it can change. So with 1 pound of weight gain or loss, that may affect how your nutrition on this bike and the run affect your race. So just keep that in mind. And that goes back to what I always say is triathlon is not a math equation. Ironman is especially not a math equation. So you've got to get used to word problems and, if then problems. So that is kind of, if you can tweak your thing in one way and then tweak it a little bit the other way, eventually you're going to find what works for you. And then the next year it may change. Who knows? So just keep in mind it's always in flux. All right. So fueling your workout and your race. Christina recommends that you fuel any workout or race that is over 90 minutes. And that means calories, carbs, protein. That is how you fuel that race. We'll get to hydration later, but this is how you, to best utilize your fuel. Shorter workouts, those that are 60 to 90 minutes, you can fuel if you are calorie deficient, or if it's a high quality workout. So if you are in the middle of a track workout that is 60 minutes long and you are feeling depleted, or you're feeling a little grumpy, that's probably a good sign that you need some calories and carbs and protein. Those short workouts, she also recommends that you may not need protein, but carbs and calories for sure. And that is what gels are for. Short workouts less than 60 minutes may need hydration only, and you can be the judge of that. That's usually a good guideline to go by. Sometimes when it's hot and miserable like it has been, you may feel that your body can handle some calories even with a workout that is less than 60 minutes. She also recommends training your stomach like you train your body. So you have to practice what you eat. If you plan to eat what's on the course in a race, then you need to practice what's on the course. So if one course is owned by Setup Events and you know that they serve Gatorade, or what is, I guess they used to serve really watered down Heed, then that is what you need to practice. If you're doing an Ironman owned race, then Gatorade Endurance, they sometimes serve Coca-Cola, sometimes they use Red Bull. You can practice with all of those. You need to train your stomach. You can try lots of different things during training. That is what is great. Last year, I tried plantain chips. I tried honey instead of gels. I tried a bunch of different stuff so that in case something weird happens. I could adjust as needed. Plus, I was trying to eat whole foods on the bike. It was really hard. But plantain chips are really good and salty, so I liked those. But they're also greasy, so I didn't really like those. So it was hard to kind of choose. Eat bananas on course if they're going to serve them. Try them. I don't think anybody serves pickles yet, but I'm convinced that they're going to start serving some kind of pickle shot soon. All right, so for fueling during a workout or a race, here are some of the calculations that are suggested. The bike calculation is key. 4 to 6 kilocalories per kilogram, per kilogram per hour. So you always want to start at the lower end of the range and work up. So the first thing you have to do is figure out how many kilograms you weigh. That means that you get to go to Google and do the conversion there, because I can't do it for you. I don't even know a shortcut because I'm not math oriented. So figure out what that looks like. For a hilly course, it's suggested that you add 50 to 60 kilocalories per hour, or 10 to 12 grams of carbohydrate per kilogram per hour. So that's kind of what I did for Boulder. I used this calculation. I was good at about 4 kilocalories per kilogram per hour. And then I needed to add, I think I did I think I was 12 on the hilly course because I knew it was going to take me a little longer. So I added some carbs to my calculation. And then your run calculation there is 2 to 3 kilocalories per kilogram per hour. And again, you start at the lower end and you work your way up. With the run, I think I am realizing that I am at the top end of the scale. So I need more calories than I thought I did. And that's going to take practice because I don't like to eat when I run. But on a long distance race, I need to practice that. You may find that you may not be able to stomach that many calories. And it may end up that you don't need that many, which is great. You may not need that many, and you need to train your body and your stomach to accept less calories during the run. So those are the 2 bike calculations, and we can come back to these. I would jot those down, and I can send you this as well, so you can kind of figure out what to do with those. All right, so here's an example of an 150-pound athlete. That equals 68 kilograms. Thank you, Christina, for doing that for me. That calculation was 4 at the low end. So she needs 272 calories per hour. And then the calculation from that is 272 calories divided by 4 divided by 4 equals 68 grams of carbs. So that's what she needs per hour, 272 calories and 68 grams of carbs. And then on the run, there's the calculation for that. It kind of goes, you need a little less, 34 grams of carbs per hour, and you need 136 calories. So that's kind of what it looks like when you're starting to do these calculations. And again, start at the low end and kind of work your way, add more calories, add more carbs as you go. I have always worked on calories. So when Christina worked with me and said, no, you need to aim for more carbs, it really made a difference because it didn't up my calories any. It just helped me ingest those carbohydrates, which my brain really needs so that it won't fall asleep on the run in Boulder. No, that was an altitude thing. I learned that quickly. All right, so here are some other calculations. Carbohydrates, these are kind of some ranges. So 30 to 90 grams per hour. You want to use multiple pathways. So I don't have her notes here, but I think she means monoglycerides, poly and di. I'm going to have to get back to you on that one. Sorry. I should have written that one down. But there are multiple ways and multiple carbohydrates. So that's what she's talking about. Like, don't just stick with one. Stick with multiple. Protein, you'll need 5 to 10 grams per hour. Sometimes your stomach can't handle that. That's a lot. So you may want to go with the amino acids. And there are several formulas. I think Scratch might carry like just amino acids. There is a product that I used to use called Amino Vital. It's used by a lot of golfers, but it's also used by athletes. And they produce a product that really like hones in the amount of amino acids that you have. So that is if you can't handle a lot of the proteins, because a lot of the proteins are whey or they are like nutrition that you can't ingest easily, you could try just the amino acids. Fat, she recommends that there are no set amount, but keep it low. You've probably already found that you can't eat a whole lot of peanut butter, even though Uncrustables are good, but you can't eat a whole lot of peanut butter or almond butter on a run or a bike just because it has a lot of fat. It's nutrient dense, and it fills you up, but it also has a lot of fat in it. And then sodium, which we'll talk a little bit more about here in a second, she suggests 500 to 800 milligrams per hour. And you can find that you may be able to ingest as much as 1,500 milligrams per hour. You may end up a pickle at the end, but and if you do eat that much, or if you're able to ingest that much sodium, know that you will be not feeling great the next couple of days because it feels like you've eaten a lot of potato chips. And it feels like you've gained weight and you've bloated, and it's not fun, but it is necessary to do that during a race. So don't hold back. All right, so for post-workout and post-race, Christina has said that there's this whole movement type of thing where you have to eat 2 hours after, or within a certain window. She said that it is not actually proven. It is helpful, but it is not proven that it will really make a difference. But with most people, because we're on a schedule of eating, we want to eat after a workout. But you don't have to necessarily like think of it as a certain window. She said a meal is best. So after you go for your early morning workout, breakfast is great. You don't have to do like a protein shake and your breakfast. You may just want to do breakfast. You may want to eat it sooner than you ate, than normal, or you may want to, leave it out a little or have it out 2 hours or whatever. She said, but a meal is going to be your best bet. It probably has the most nutrients and is the most satisfying. She does recommend to eat as soon as you can post-workout. So as soon as you start to feel hungry, eat. She suggests replacing whatever you burned to help you rebuild your muscle and recover. So you can calculate from FitnessPal or one of the like calorie counter type of things, an estimation, not accurate. Maybe even your watch tells you kind of what you've done, but you can replace what you've burned. Don't forget to use the 3 macronutrients to do that. So if you've only burned 200 calories, use the macros to help you replace that meal. The thing that comes after the second choice after an actual meal, would be liquid nutrition. So I have found, especially on hot days, that I don't really want breakfast, but I can eat Infinite's or drink Infinite's Mud protein shake. It's delicious, and it has coffee. You may be able to find your favorite liquid nutrition to drink after a post-workout or race. And then if you don't foresee yourself eating a meal right after your workout, like right after your long ride, which may end up like somewhere between lunch and dinner, and you're a stickler for sticking with lunch and dinner, then have a meal planned for afterwards. Like take stuff with you on your long rides to have in your cooler or wherever you keep it. Have those things available to you. And I've got some ideas for that coming up. So yeah, if it's a long ride or a high quality workout, plan something to have. All right, so here is a ratio that she suggests. If you're not going to use your normal macros that you would use during your build phase or peak phase or whatever phase you're in, then you can use a 4-to-1 ratio with carbohydrates to protein. So if you're having something with 40 carbs, then you need 10 grams of protein to go with that. That's just a quick and dirty calculation that she uses to help you. You'll see that the athlete weight of 155 or 150 pounds is in there, and that kind of gives you an example of what to do there. I'm skipping over that one quickly because I'm going to talk about food. Pre-workout choices. You want to choose all of these are actually easy on the stomach. They're low in fat and fiber. So she suggests applesauce, banana, fruit smoothies, an electrolyte smoothie. I have found that I love to mix some of my electrolyte, like my MBS that I use and my Infinite. I like to mix it with fruit and coconut water before a workout. So I take frozen fruit. I take 1 scoop of my whatever, like maybe even a tablespoon of my MBS pineapple, yummy, and coconut water, and put it all together, blend it up, and then that makes a great ice cold smoothie before I go work out. She recommends for your race day, game day, sports drink, chews, bars, banana, potato. You can even try pretzels. She does say to try to use foods that are easily digestible, which may mean liquid. Like you may not be able to eat any potatoes. Pretzels may not be it. Uncrustables may make you cramp on the run. Like solids, liquids come first and then solids. So kind of keep that in mind. And then your post-training options. I put mud recovery in there because that's my favorite. She suggested a sandwich because it has all the macros. It has, carbs in the bread. It has carbs in the whatever lettuce and tomato vegetables you put on there. You can make a sandwich. It's easily portable to your next workout. You can make it with eggs, and hey, I'm all about bacon for your breakfast workout. So just kind of keep that in mind. Greek yogurt has lots of protein. She tops hers with chia and fruit. And then a suggestion that is more like a bowl that you could actually take after long runs and even after races is pretty portable is quinoa, chicken, and spinach. And I think she had some kind of sauce, like a favorite bottled sauce that she uses on that. But I have used that, and it's really good with just butter on top. So there's an option for that. We'll talk about hydration really quickly. How much? Estimates show 20 to 24 ounces per hour. The best way to know is to do your own sweat test, and I can send y'all information on how to do a sweat test. I honestly have not figured it out how to do one on a long ride because I always drive to a long ride, and I don't want to torture my riding buddies with the whole weigh yourself without clothes on, bring a scale, go do your ride, come back, weigh yourself. They don't want to see that. So I haven't figured out how to do that for myself. I've done it for a long run from my house. And I know that athletes have done that, been able to do it from long rides or long runs from their own home or from a rec center or something like that. You simply weigh yourself beforehand and then you weigh yourself after. And you take track of all the things that you drank and ate on that ride, and then you kind of figure out how much you sweated depending on how much you weigh after the fact. Sodium. Sodium is the most important electrolyte, and we lose a lot of that in our sweat. And I think Glenn said this earlier to me this week, which was if you have, maybe Jerry, it was you, if you have sweat on, or if you see salt on your tri-kit, you have not done your sodium correctly. My guess is that all of us, because most of us are in the South, do not consume enough sodium. So this is something that we can work on. Everyone is different in the amount they lose. You may see people who don't sweat a lot, but actually they're losing a ton of sodium. People who sweat a lot may actually just be losing the other electrolytes and water and may not be losing the sodium. So it just depends. And it doesn't really, you don't really know whether you're a heavy sweater or not, how much electrolytes you're losing. There is an electrolyte test available, and I can send y'all that information. Again, I ordered that just to test it out for y'all, just to kind of see, but I have yet to figure out how to do that, because you put it on a patch on your arm, and you have to use tweezers and an alcohol pad in the middle of the heat of summer in July, and I haven't quite figured that out yet. So the general range that is tested is that we lose, or that we need 400 to 1,200 milligrams per hour. Christina recommends that we start at 500 milligrams per hour, and we kind of move up from there. There are additional electrolytes. There's potassium, calcium, and bicarbonate, but there's no real evidence that they must be replaced, and there's really no harm in losing them as we do. So there's that. She does recommend doing sweat rate testing twice a season. And then there is, like I said, a take-home kit for electrolytes. It's especially great for Ironman athletes who are going to be in hot climates, and it helps reduce the risk of hyponatremia. I think these are the last two things that I want to mention because they apply to all of us, or most of us. There are some environmental hormonal considerations to take into account. So in the hotter temps, you're likely to get dehydrated quicker. You are probably going to lose at least 2% of your body fluids, and that is going to decrease your performance. So just remember that it's not just you, and it's not just your mental frame of mind. It's not just your training. It's not like this is a scientific thing. You're going to lose at 2% body loss at 2% loss of body fluids, you're going to see a decrease in your performance. So just keep that in mind. Also, for women's hormonal phases, at that high hormonal phase, sweat rate is increased. You're going to need more carbs. And if you're on contraceptives, you're always in the high hormone phase. So keep that in mind as well. So that means you're always going to be sweating more, and you're always going to need more carbs if you're on hormonal contraceptives. So anyway, just those two things that I have found very interesting in studying with Christina. Nutrition plans, I highly suggest that everybody practice at least 3 to 4 times before a big race. Start first with what has worked in the past and work on that. And then think, what is on course? What is a secondary carb source? And then what is the single carb source or superstarch? And what she's talking about there is simple sugars. So if you need to down, like gels are not simple sugars. I think she considers simple sugars Coca-Cola, Red Bull, and some of those drinks that you can get on course that have no carbs. They're just super sugary. So there's that. So I'm just going to kind of breeze through that. Practice. Before or after, actually, I think this next one shows it. So this is the fancy version worksheet that I have used. And I'm getting ready to show y'all because I'm going to back out of this slideshow and show you what mine actually looks like. But this is what it looks like in pretty form. I write down the time or the miles of my race. And this is the start of my Ironman worksheet. I write down the water that I'm going to drink. It is usually in my Aero bottle in the front. I have it only because, as Christina recommended, we drink separately from any nutrition that we have. We drink 20 to 24 ounces of water per hour. So that's that. It doesn't have any calories, protein, carbohydrates, or sodium. I have a drink mix for bottle number 1. That's what B1 stands for. I have an orange mix. It's actually called Orange Tuscadero for Pinky Tuscadero, but this is orange. I list what the calories, protein, and carbs are, and the sodium. And then I say, okay, I'm going to lick the base salt. I'm going to take out my tube. That is actually 2 licks. So that kind of shows what I'm getting in. In hour number 2, I show about what time that is. Sometimes I'll write in there what the mileage is, and when I show you my handwritten worksheet, you'll see that. But there's the water. It shows my pineapple flavored drink in bottle number 2. So if I had to switch bottles, it shows that I'm eating some chomps. Actually, that's the amount of 6 chomps, the 200 and the 100, and then another 2 licks of base salt, so that I'm getting in at least 500 grams of sodium. I'm getting in my my calories that I want, and I'm getting in the protein carbs. That is what I want to base it on. I tend to eat all my proteins, and she suggested eating proteins early in the day. So I actually have that orange bottle 1, that has protein in it. In hour 2, I don't have any protein. In hour 3, I have the last protein of the day, just because I start to not feel great if I have more protein. So it's kind of like I have a bottle, I don't, I have a bottle, I don't, with protein in it. So that is that. I'm going to unshare here for a second and show y'all, you can see, and it might be backwards. This is my worksheet. I'm glad it's backwards. This is my worksheet that I did for leading up to Ironman Boulder. I don't know how to get it so that it's not backwards, but this shows hour number 1. It shows about how many miles I expected to cover in that time. And then it shows like all the calculations over here, all the additions, the totals, and what I was drinking. And then it shows over here, hour number 2, what mileage I think I would have covered in that amount of time, and the amount of food and carbs and all that kind of stuff. And I can send this to y'all as well. I put in here that I hope to hit special needs somewhere in here, maybe over here. I had to cross a lot of stuff out because things started to not work. I knew that for this one, especially, you might not be able to read it, but it says salt. I learned by practice that I was not great at like putting the base salt from the tube into my mouth on the bike. Like, it's really hard to do that. So for that bottle, I actually put the salt, I added it to my nutrition bottle. I added the speed I have speed, which is an Infinite product, and I added it to it. It's a super sweet product anyway. So adding that 2 little scoops of base salt, or Himalayan salt, which is cheaper than base salt. Sorry, Base Performance ambassadors that I said that, but Himalayan salt works just as well. So I've just added those 2 little scoops to my bottle. She recommended S-caps, which are the capsules, and she also recommended, she liked Base, she liked S-caps, and there was another like endurance, I think it was E-caps, maybe it was E-caps too, which is a salt capsule. So those are easier ways than Base to take it. At special needs, I put in pickle juice. I took that. I found a great way to ingest pickle juice without the pickles on the bike ride. They're called Pickle Pops. You can get them on Amazon. They're probably not in stock because I think I just stocked up on mine. So yeah, and then, so I worked on that. Like, I added to it. I started with one thing and then just kept adding to it until I got to what I used in Boulder. And now I know what tweaks to make for my next race. So I just say practice, practice, practice. I can get a lot of these calculations to you so you'll remember them in a great little worksheet. And I think that is all. So does anybody have any questions before we go eat dinner on what to have, what to have nutrition wise in training and racing especially? I know most of y'all are pros at practicing.
For what it's worth, I'm a Hammer sponsored athlete, so I kind of focus on the Hammer items.
Hammer, yeah.
I've been with them about 8 or 10 years. Their
That-
only philosophy is they really believe that less is more,
Yeah,
meaning it's very easy to overeat, and then when you get on the run, you're sloshing,
yeah.
and then you get upset. So
They have a good product. They have improved their product over the years too. It's been good. Do you eat the protein? Do they have a protein mix? What is their protein mix?
yeah, they have a whey protein that I use. Like after today's long ride, after today's break, I made a protein shake.
Okay.
But the beauty of, and you mentioned a good point, the beauty that I found out of Hammer is if you train with it, it's very easy to support an Ironman being self-supported from nutrition
Mm-hmm.
because the products are designed for that. And let's face it, Gatorade is crap. Gatorade's got too much
I'm
sugar.
not a fan of Gatorade. Not a fan.
It's terrible. It's like the worst, but Coca-Cola has a lot of money, or whoever, Quaker, whoever owns Gatorade, they got a lot of money, so they pay to play.
Right. So I do
Anyway.
want to hear from Frody and Beth because they've started using a new product that I have actually never heard of before. It's called Maurten. Is that what it's called? Wait, I can't hear you. Hold on. Are y'all muted? I can't hear y'all. Oh, there you go.
We're unmuted.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, hi.
Hi. So we've only used it for 2 weekends so far, but I've used it on both the bike and the run. And I have an extremely finicky stomach, and I felt extremely good using that on my run. And the other bike, I'm blaming on other things. So I'm kind of ruling that one out. But it's a product that's been used by it was developed by an Ironman and marathon runner in Sweden. It's been used by basically all the top marathon runners from Kenya, including the last 4 world record setters, I think. They have a gel, low carb product. Well, low carb is 160 calories, and a high calorie product, which is 320 calories. And we've been trying out the 160, and so far I think we both are pretty happy. If by some crazy happenstance that my shoulder allows me to race, that is my plan, to go just and try it out with Marilyn, because you know me, I try new things.
Yes, you do.
And it tastes too, like it doesn't give like a sour stomach after, drinking a lot of it. Like it tastes good, but it's like,
It's a very mild taste, which I think is good because it will be still be okay when it gets warm late in the race.
Right.
A lot of things is that I'm fine with it the first 3 hours of the bike, and then in the roasting sun, I start not enjoying
the taste of it. Yeah, that's why I use multiple. I use multiple products and multiple flavors. So because I don't like to get stuck on one and it just tastes bad the whole rest of your day, and then you're like, oh, I have to eat that. That's gross. So.
But one of the really important things is that it's created in a different way. So when it hits your stomach, it actually uses the stomach acid to encapsulate itself and get absorbed that way. And like I said, I ran with it with absolutely no issues in the stomach whatsoever, which is uncommon for me.
Wow, that's good.
Had quite a few
All right, who else has a nutrition question? And then after that, we'll move to like general questions. Anyone? All right, if you think of nutrition questions after this, email me. I plan to email y'all the slideshow and some of those calculations. Who has general questions about what's coming up or kind of what you're looking forward to? I do want to give a shout out to Robin, who is getting ready to do Lake Placid. Ironman Lake Placid is next Saturday. So y'all be thinking of her.
Hey,
How you doing? How you doing, Robin? Oh, wait,
I'm
hold on.
freaking out a little bit. I dropped my bike off in my gear bag today, so that feels weird.
That is weird. That's fun. But you're gonna be great because you did the Carolina Beach double sprint and learned lots of lessons.
Yes.
All right, who has a question?
I do. So, looking at my schedule you have in for this coming week,
Yes.
awfully light. Like, you had me in for an off day today, an off day tomorrow.
Oh, I went in there and switched that all up. I got your email. I made it hard again. Don't you worry.
Because I was like, this seems like I would add. I would add on to that. So.
Yeah, I knew you would. I was like, what is that? I don't know what happened there, but yeah, I went and I Zwifted you up and started adding on long rides and stuff. I mean, Beth's ahead of you. You gotta catch up.
Yeah.
Don't challenge me like that, woman.
On our schedule, we have some of the same workouts, like our long workouts, but they're not on the same weekends. Is that intentional?
Sometimes, yes.
Okay.
Do you want me to like put them together? I can do that.
I don't know, but I think like it doesn't matter. He's always going to be faster. But I think I want to do. I can't believe I'm even saying this. I want to do that big bike workout that I did last year. You had me do it last year. The first weekend of August. The first weekend of August.
Okay.
I'm looking. I mean, probably even both of us to do it that weekend too.
Yeah, they did two big bike days and then run after a second.
Yeah.
From watching her at Maryland last year after doing that, she was strong on the bike, and I think that weekend was good for her.
Okay. So that's before your trip?
Yeah, I'm Labor Day weekend is when I'm going to Scotland.
Okay. Thanks for letting me know.
I'm not in advance.
I know you did. It's fine. It was just so funny. Oh, by the way, I'm going to Scotland.
Yeah, that's pretty much how she told me too. So.
All right. Anybody else have calendar questions or?
I do.
Okay, Robin.
I have an hour-and-a-half bike on Thursday, but I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get to Lake Placid in time to pick up my bike.
Okay.
So how should I switch that around?
I
We fly Thursday morning.
I should take it off your calendar.
Oh.
Yeah.
I feel like I can do something though.
So if you're, I'll switch it around. I'll put a run on there. It's probably better. That's the
Okay.
Thursday.
Then Friday I'll do my swim, and then Saturday should I do like a brick? I think that's what I have on my calendar now.
Yeah, you definitely need to do a bike before, just get on there and check out the mechanics of it and everything. Yeah, I'll
I
definitely do that.
have the bike, the run course, so I can like preview that.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Remember, taper week and race week is kind of do what feels good to your body and what works in with your schedule. You can move stuff around as needed and skip stuff as needed. If you need more sleep, get more sleep. That's the most important thing of the week of leading in. So
Doing pizza.
I've got someone in the background screaming Mountain Dew and pizza. That is not what I'll be doing.
Please don't. That does feel good, and I know that Chris is powered by Mountain Dew and pizza. One of these days, that will be on the back of our jersey, but
Someone got
you
himself a new
cannot do
bike
that
today.
until after the race.
Someone got himself ordered a new bike today.
Which one?
He ordered a Specialized Roubaix.
Nice. Nice. I'm glad it was one of the brands that he was looking at.
I know, right?
I looked at like 7.
All right, who else? No one? All right. Well, I'm going to let y'all go. Eat your macros like you should. I, again, will be available by email. So send me your weekly wrap-ups and I can respond. And I will send y'all pictures of Iceland and of the puffins and maybe even a whale or two. Keeping my fingers crossed for whales. And that's it. Thank y'all very much for coming to the meeting. I appreciate it. I didn't say hey to earlier. I didn't say hey to Matthew. And I saw Stephanie, and now I see her face and not just her cabinet. Hi. And then Tanya, I bet you're on your way home from Hilton Head. So hey to Tanya and Lucas. All right, y'all have a good night. I will talk to y'all when I get home.
Bye.
Very good.
Bye. Safe trip.
Thank you.